thank you so much for your very kind introduction and also like a very kind invitation to me to this fantastic meeting. So today I'm going to talk about the early onset colorectal cancer trend in Australia and Asia. But the data is not very much fascinating, very comprehensive like US data like Rebecca presented, unfortunately. So, okay, so here are the colorectal cancer incidence all over the world. So you may have seen this, the graph in the global can data, so we are familiar with. But one main thing I would like to point out here is Australia and New Zealand has the highest colorectal cancer incidence all over the world. It is much larger than compared to the other Asian African country, and also it's above the American data. So the colorectal cancer in Australia, it is about one of the most common diagnosed cancer in Australia. So it is about the 13.5% of all new cases in Australia is the colorectal cancer. It is about 17,000 new cases in Australia in 2015. So this is an overall. Again, in 8.8% of all death from cancer is due to colorectal cancer in Australia, and the colorectal cancer lifetime risk by age 85 is 1 in 12. In other words, 1 in 10 in men and 1 in 15 in women. So the average age of the colorectal cancer diagnosis in Australia is very similar to US. It is 69 years of age. So what happened to the young onset colorectal cancer? So this is the overall trend in Australia. So you can see that colorectal cancer incidence is rapidly increasing after age 50, which is very similar to the US and other developed countries. So about 90% of the colorectal cancer are occur in people age 50 and above. Only 10% are occur in young people. So it is another figure here, about 2 to 3% of the colorectal cancer occur in under age 40. So this is an Australian data. I made it very similar to the US data as well. So what happened to the colorectal cancer incidence over the decades? So here is from 1978 to the 2012 data. You can see that the colorectal cancer incidence is not much increasing. It is about the sort of the plateau, but not much decreasing. But here later on, after 2008 to 2012, you can see that bit of the decreasing trend of the colorectal cancer overall in Australia. It is because of our introduction of the National Bowel Cancer Screening Program by the government in 2006. So, but on the other hand, the mortality of the colorectal cancer in Australia, it has been decreasing over the decades because of the access to the healthcare service and also all the improving facility, as we all know. So what about the early onset colorectal cancer in Australia? So the colorectal cancer is increasing in the young adult under age 50, as Rebecca showed, in very comprehensive data, we know that. But the colorectal cancer screening for the early onset colorectal cancer is not justified in the population level in the United States as well as in Australia, unless they have a strong family history or the predisposing genetic mutation like Lynch syndrome or the other inflammatory bowel disease. So the colorectal cancer is the third leading cause of the of cancer death in young adults, especially at age 40 after leukemia and the CNS tumor. But in Australia as well, all the clinicians start notice that the colorectal cancer in young adults has been increasing, especially at age 40. After that, we look at the data in this different report. The first report from the New Zealand data. So they look at the early onset colorectal cancer incidence over the decades, and they didn't see much difference. But again, here they only look at age 50, not break it into the age category, 10-year brackets or the 5-year bracket. So it is really important. I will tell you why it is really important. And the other one is that there is another one report from the Victoria. Again, they haven't seen no rise in the increase, no rise in the early onset colorectal cancer. again, they lumped all colorectal cancer incidents below the age 50 rather than like breaking into the like 10 years or the 5-year bracket. So Western Australian data and also the Queensland data, their findings very inconsistent. So what we did is, we requested the data from the like our Australian Institute of Health and Welfare, like which is the central data set for the like different states in Australia. So it is a national data. So we requested the data, but from 1990 to the 2010 data. And then we split into the like the 5-year age bracket and age 40 and the 40 to 60. So here you can see that at age 40, so we split into the 5-year age bracket. So the first one here, you can see that it is 20 to 24 years of age. So you can start see the increase in trend after like 2000. Okay, again 25 to 29 years of age, after 1995 you start increase and then increasing until 2010. Again from 30 to 34 years of age, here you can see increase in trend after 1995 to 2000, 2005 to 2010. And also 35 to 39 years of age as well. So there is an increase in trend. So look at in the like the right side of the figure. So here 40 to 44 and 40 to 45. These are these two figures. You can see that there is no increase in trend, like not like in US. It is a bit different. So what we only see is the incidence of the colorectal cancer has been increasing over decades, especially after 2000 in Australia, especially in the people and age 40, not between 40 and 49. It's a bit different from US, I think. So what about in the South Australian data? So we try to analyze one state data in South Australia because Joan Yan was able to get the data from the South Australian Cancer Registry data. So it's very similar pattern, 20 to 24, 25 to 29, 30 to 34, and 34 to 39. We can see that all increase in trend from 1990 to 2000 and then 2010. Again, from 40 to 49 years, especially into 40 to 44 and 45 to 49, we didn't see much difference between these decades. And also there is no increase in trend over years. So what happened to Asia? So the Asia data is very inconsistent, like as Peter said, that because of the several reasons, including the health access data and the poor statistics in the earlier decades. So it's very difficult to interpret the data from the Asian. But I'm trying to present some published data from the Asian data. So this is the colorectal cancer incidence in Asia. First of all, I like to emphasize on the overall colorectal cancer incidence in Asia. So the colorectal cancer incidence has been increasing rapidly in Asia. So especially in the East Asian country, including Japan, Hong Kong, Philippines, Singapore, and Korea. So you can see that here in 1995, and then at least double or the triple increase until 2000 here. So all are increasing trend. So what happened to this increase in trend of the colorectal cancer incidence? So here, especially in the Japan, so they have a highest colorectal cancer incidence in Asia now. The incidence rate of the colorectal cancer is now more or less equal to the other developed countries like US, Australia. So Korea and Japan, they have a very high incidence of the colorectal cancer now all over the world, as much high as US and Australia. So it's a very striking the data set. So what happened to the young onset colorectal cancer in these Asian countries? Are they also increasing? So the colorectal cancer in Asia, so this is again overall, you can see that in China, Hong Kong, Shanghai, and also in the different the prefecture, like in Japan, In Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, India, Kuwait, and Israel, you can see that all these the ratio between 1983 to 1987 to the 1988 to the 2002. So all are increasing here. It's about 2-fold increase or the 1.5-fold increase. So this is an overall trend. So again here, this is only in Japan. What happened to the colorectal cancer overall? Here, all the colorectal cancer increasing from 1977 to 1994. So here, rapidly increase all these colorectal cancer when you break it into the proximal colon, distal colon, and also the rectum. It's a similar trend. But what happened to the if we break it into the age group? Here, less than 49. Less than 50 years of age, 50 to 69, and above 70. From 1977 to the 1994. So especially in the age 50 group here, no increase in trend at all. So it's a bit different. But what happened to after 2000? Here is until only 1999. So after 1999, after 1994, is it increasing the early onset colorectal cancer? So here, this is again another data set, unpublished data. It is at age 50. This is the blue line here. So here, this is red and green line. All these colorectal cancer from 50 to 70 and 70 and above. You can see that it is increasing from 1978 to 1992. But after the 1992, the increasing trend became slow, especially in the old onset cases 50 to 69 years of age, it became plateau. Why does it happen like this? Because in Japan in 1992, they started the National Bowel Cancer Screening Program. And then they offer the FIT for the people who are age 40 and above every 2 years. So they start the National Bowel Cancer Screening. It is, you can see beautifully, the increase in trend became slow and also became plateau. But in the younger age group, there is not much increase in trend when they did the joint point analysis as well. So in the proximal colon cancer, distal colon cancer, and also the rectum, very similar. So in other words, in Japan, they reported there is no increase in the early onset colorectal cancer over the decades. It might be due to the poor quality of the data, or but they do have the national surveillance data. So what about in Korea? So in Korea, when they look at in men, from 1999 to the 2009 data set, 30 to 39 years, 40 to 49, 50 to 59 and above, they look at the 10 years bracket, and all are increasing. Here, annual percent change, you can see that 5% change, even when they break it down into the proximal, distal, and the rectum. So it is for the female. Very similar pattern. They saw the increase in trend in all age groups after 2000. Okay, so why is it different between the Korea and the Japan? Are there really difference between the colorectal cancer incidence? So here there is another paper, they're looking at the colorectal cancer incidence after years 2000 between Japan and Korea. So here in Korea, the increasing trend is still going on after 2000, but not in Japan, as I showed you before. So after 2000, after 1992, after the introducing of the National Bowel Cancer Screening Program in Japan, the bowel cancer increasing rate is became slow and became plateau. Okay, but in Korea it's still increasing. So what about in other countries like in Turkey? So they saw the increase in trend, especially in the male from 1993, 1997 to the to 2008. So here it is at age 40. So you saw that after 1993 to 1999, a bit increase in the incidence, but after 1999, it jumped out until 2008 in Turkey. So what about in the other country like Singapore? There is no national database or the trend in the incidence over the decades, but the clinician noticed that at least 2 to 3 out of the 100 patients seen in the same hospital are diagnosed at age 40. So what about in the other the Asian countries? Like in India, yes, they saw the reported the colorectal cancer in young adults. In Nepal, and Brunei, Cambodia, Israel, and other part of the world, Egypt, as well as the other Jordan and Pakistan is everywhere. I found that at least 20 young onset colorectal cancer report in these Asian countries as well. But they didn't do the multi-center study or the national study over the decades. So they wouldn't be able to do that. So what about the colorectal cancer mortality rather than incidence in Japan, Hong Kong, Korea, and Singapore? So this is the men from 30 to 49 years and women 30 to 49 years. So until 2000, not much increase in trend except Korea. So Korea, you can see that increase in trend from 1980 to the 2000. But other countries, they have a decrease in trend, not increase in trend at all in the young onset colorectal cancer. So in Asia, if you can see that the data, you might say that colorectal cancer in the young adult might be increasing in Korea, but not in Japan or other the major East Asia countries. But it might be due to the data quality as well. I have no idea. So the summary of the incidence of the early onset colorectal cancer in Australia and Asia, if I interpret correctly, so please correct me if I'm wrong, Rebecca or Peter. So here in Australia, the highest incidence rate of the colorectal cancer in the world, and colorectal cancer incident in old age, 50 and above, has been stabilized or declined in recent decades. The colorectal cancer in young adult at age 40 has been increasing after year 2000, especially in Australia. So what about in Asia? The incidence of the colorectal cancer overall has been rapidly increasing over decades in East Asia, Japan, Singapore, Korea, and Hong Kong, and other countries. But the colorectal cancer incidence trend in the young adult is very inconsistent finding. It might be due to the different factors, including the data quality and also the analysis method as well. So before 2000, we didn't see the early onset colorectal cancer increase in trend, the colorectal cancer, early onset colorectal cancer might not increase except Korea. Okay, but after 2000, early onset colorectal cancer incident, increase in trend might have been seen if they analyze stratified by the age, rather than lumping up at age 50. If they break it into the 5-year bracket or the 10-year brackets, maybe 40 to 49, or 30 to 39, or 20 to 29. And also if they break it into by GR by GR as well. So I agree with Rebecca, it is really important to break it into the the age bracket and see in the different part of the world, because otherwise we wouldn't see anything. Because almost all of the Asian study, they just lump up all the the year of age group. That's why they didn't see any difference. This is what I feel when I read the paper. So what is known about the colorectal cancer in young adult? So we know that rectal and distal colon cancer dominance, the high-grade mucinous and the signal grains histology, more aggressive type, In the late stage presentation, most cases become symptomatic because of the they are not included in the screening program, but they have a better equivalent surveillance, similar to the old age onset and the higher rate of the chemo and radiotherapy. So problem with the early onset colorectal cancer. So the report of the outcome varies between the different studies. The age boundary is stapler, and age 50 or 45 or 40, because study defined very, very differently. So the risk stratification in the young adult population, it is very difficult, and most of the study has been done in the young onset colorectal cancer are retrospective or the single center study, no large prospective studies at all. Especially on the etiology factor, we don't know anything about yet. Especially most of the etiology data we have been analyzing on the traditional factor rather than the modern factors, like soft shrink. So we don't have any data at all. And the majority of the cases that not explained by the family history, this is the huge issue, and that screening guidelines not capture the young adult. So this is an example in Australia. So in Australia, what we have is we have a tri-age program. The category, we break it into the 3 categories. This is a very commonly used in the primary care clinic as well. So for example, if they have the very poor family history, or if they don't have the family history, they only encourage to get the FIT starting from age 50 every 2 years. Okay. But if they have a moderate family history, they offer the colonoscopy every 5 years. But if they have the high family, very strong family history or the Lynch syndrome, it is very equivalent to the other international guideline as well. They started the screening at age 20, or the 5 years or 10 years younger than the youngest diagnosis in the colorectal cancer in the family. So we have a national bowel cancer screening program. It is a free program, so offered to every Australian age 50 and above. So FIT every 2 years. So offered by the government. So the main problem of the factors the diagnosis delayed in young onset colorectal cancer, is still a huge problem in Australia as well. So the colorectal cancer has been not considered as a cause of the symptom, and also the social and the cultural disadvantaged group, and also the health seeking behavior problem. This is the patient's factor. What about the healthcare provider factor as well? The same thing. The colorectal cancer not considered to be the cause of the symptoms. Sometimes they assume as just an hemorrhoids or the other minor diseases rather than the colorectal cancer. So how to address? So increasing awareness, it is a really important thing. We definitely need to work on that, and risk modification or risk reduction approaches. But the main thing is we don't have enough knowledge on the etiology factor for the early onset colorectal cancer to identify the high risk individuals. So maybe we need to develop primary healthcare screening tool, and also improve the screening modality with a high acceptability. So thank you so much.